Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on the 2016 March Smart Art box. We're going to be breaking down the contents of this month's box and doing the project demo. Okay, we're going to be working with a medium that's a little bit more craft-like this month, so let's take a look what's inside this month's box. First, we have a 1-pound bag of Jennifer's Mosaics. We have small tile pieces this month. They're small because we're going to be working on a mosaic coaster that's only about 4¼ inches wide. So we want smaller pieces to work with. So we have an assortment of different colors. They do follow a pretty cohesive color scheme though. We have some blues, greens, and browns in the mix, and they all have a gold vein pattern flowing through each tile, which really follows the theme for our art history segment for this month, which is Egyptian art. Egyptian art covers a huge time span, so there's a lot to learn about the civilization. Make sure you check out our Smart Art History segments. Philip's going to be covering a lot of really important achievements that they had throughout their time. Check out our playlist. He's also going to be going over some cool facts and tips, so definitely check that out. So we have a square coaster mold in our box. It is 4¼ inches. It is plastic and is reusable, so you can use this multiple times to make multiple projects. And you have a lot of tile left over, so you'll be able to do many different coasters. We also have cement. So we're going to be using a different technique than traditional mosaicing. Instead of using grout, we're going to be using an indoor cement. So we have a 2-pound indoor cement from Jennifer's Mosaics also. We have a long handle flat size 8 brush. This covers a lot of surface. We're going to be using it to seal our mosaic project. So we have a sealer. It's a tile and cement sealer. So you're going to be brushing this over your project, and it's going to protect it from dust or water spills since we're using it as a coaster. We're going to use our brush to cover it. And this brush is really good. You can use this to do washes. You can use it for backgrounds. It's long and you can use it for other projects. So definitely use it outside of your mosaic coaster project. Lastly, we have contact paper. Our contact paper is going to help us keep the mosaic tiles in place while we're working on them and also secure them while we pour the cement over. So you have 2 pieces of contact paper to work with this month. So that is the box breakdown for this month's Smart Art box. Let's go ahead and get started on our coaster. Okay, I'm going to start by tracing the mold first. I'm going to use the bottom side of it. I'm going to put it down on a scratch piece of paper and just trace the outline. We just want to be able to make sure that our design is fitting within, so it doesn't have to be a perfect square. That's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to divide this in half just so that I can try to keep the drawing a little bit more symmetric. So we're going here. I'm going to divide the square in half. Now I'm going to be working with a very simple and traditional Egyptian symbol, which is the Hour of Horus. So I'm going to just do a quick sketch. This eye is very popular. Now at this point you want to decide what side and direction you want your drawing to be facing, because on the mold we're working with it backwards. So if it's really important to you that it's in a specific direction, then you'll want to flip this upside down, and we'll do that in a minute. So a very simple sketch. You should definitely use something that's very basic shapes, not a lot of detail. That way you can work with the mosaic and it's not hard to get a lot of detailed little squares into your project. Okay, so about that. Do the eyebrow. And that is it. Okay, now you're going to want to go in and try to arrange your mosaic, pick the colors and position them down to see how many you're going to need and to finalize the color scheme. Once you do that, you're going to want to mark them on the paper. So I'm going to use different colors to mark where I want the tiles. I'm going to have a green one there, and the rest of them I'm going to use brown for. So I'm just going to do a couple of X's to mark where I want the tiles to be sitting. And there we go. Okay, very simple. Now what we're going to do is just cut out our square so they can fit it into our mold. You want to make sure that it's fitting inside the mold pretty loosely so that it doesn't crinkle up the sides. So that'll make it hard for you to lay your mosaic tiles down. Okay. Rough cut here. Okay. let's try it inside our mold. It's a little tight, so we're gonna go back in and just adjust it. Do it all the different sides. What's most important is really just getting it in there and making sure that you have your X guide to follow as you're working on the mosaic. Okay, a little bit more on the top. That should be good. Okay, so now we're going to grease the mold. You can use petroleum jelly. I'm going to use just some body lotion that's very greasy and oily, kind of like body butter. And I'm going to use my brush to just get it in there. That way my hands don't get too dirty. This brush is so great. It covers the surface very quickly and the bristles move real softly and smoothly. Alright, you want to get it up the sides too. Really apply it liberally. Okay, that looks good. Now this is when you want to decide what direction you want your drawing to face. So if it's very important to you that it faces the way you drew it, then you're going to want to flip it upside down and put it down this way, since when you pop it out of the coaster, that's how it's going to come out. I really don't mind which way it's facing, so I'm going to put it in just like this. Just make sure it's all the way in. Then I'm going to take my contact paper, remove the backing, get this off. And you want to put it sticky side up. So just put it in like this and peel the paper out. You want to make sure it's sticky side up so that your tiles will stick to it and be secure as you're working. Okay, so I'm going to start putting the tiles down. You're going to notice that the tiles have a smooth side, and then on the opposite side there's a groove. And this is going to help the cement flow into that groove and really hold it in tight, act like an adhesive. So I'm going to start with my colors. I'm going to work with brown mostly, so I'm going to start here. And just gently push down. If you were working with traditional mosaicing where you glue down the mosaic tiles and then use grout over it, then the groove would act the same way. It'd help the glue puddle in between the groove and really hold it down securely on your surface. When you're laying these down, you want to put them pretty closely together. If you have big gaps, it doesn't look as great with the cement flowing in and making a huge gap. So really try to keep them close. But 1/8 of an inch is what's always suggested. Okay, play with them, adjust them. Okay, so I'm going to finish adding them all in, and then we'll start with the cementing process. So that looks pretty good. Now that that's done, I'm going to just lift the contact paper and remove my stencil. Some of the pieces might fall off, no big deal. Just slide it off. I like to do this because that way the contact paper lies down really flat against the mold. Then at this point you'll just do any final adjustments you want. Make sure that the tiles are where you want them. And we are ready to start cementing. Okay, so we're gonna mix 9 tablespoons of our cement. So I'm gonna use this craft measuring spoon. Measure. So to determine how much you need, the manufacturer suggests that you fill your mosaic coaster with water and then measure how many tablespoons of water fit into the coaster, which is 9. And you divide that by 3, and that will give you the number of tablespoons of water that you need. Okay, so I have my water ready here. I'm gonna just pour it right in. And I'm gonna use just a craft stick to stir this up. Now you want it to be pretty liquidy, so just stir it slowly. If you feel like it's too thick, you can add a little bit more water. If it's too runny, a little bit more cement. You want to be patient with it. Stir it really well for at least a minute or so. Scrape the sides. It's a little thick. Stir it a little bit more. Okay, that's good. All right, so I'm just gonna slowly pour it in. I'm gonna start in the middle and let that flow in. And just spread it to the sides. Simple enough. I'm gonna turn it around. Just get it to flow to all the corners. And it fills up just before you get to the top, not all the way to the top. That looks perfect. Okay. Now I'm gonna very gently lift it and tap it a little bit, just to make sure that it's going all in between the tiles and to get little air bubbles out. I'm gonna be a little gentle. If you tap too hard, you'll get too much cement flowing underneath your mosaic pieces. So be very gentle, just a few taps. Okay, now we're just gonna let this set for at least an hour. You will know that it's fully dry and cure once you touch it and it's cold. So while it's curing and drying, it's gonna be a little bit warm. So just touch it and test it, and if it's cooled down, then you know it's completely dry. Okay, so once your cement is fully set, you're gonna pop it out of the mold, remove the contact paper, and just clean up any smudges with a craft knife, and use a paper towel to rub it clean. All right, so this is the completed coaster project. You're gonna put the sealer over it as well, let it dry for about 4 hours, and you're all done. Remember that your coaster mold is reusable, so definitely make many more creations with this. And don't forget to share your work with us on our Facebook page. We love to see what you guys are making, and it also makes you eligible for a chance to win a free Smart Art box. Don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, guys.